Satya, mind, body, spirit, health, and healing. Please enjoy this talk in which singer, songwriter, and musician Melissa Etheridge reflects on her spiritual awakening, as well as transcending cancer.
Once, the record company and you get the, it's like you got a thing.
Yeah.
You just make that record again.
Right.
Do it over and over and over again.
Right. And all of a sudden it's not quite, all of a sudden music's changing. And so I do my album Lucky and I turn it into my record company, who's Leor Cohen's head of my record company at that time. He's head of Island. And he's the big guy. He's head of Warner Brothers. He's like head of everything now.
Right.
And so he's all hit music oriented.
Right.
So after I turn my record in, he says, we have this song from this other band, and I've never recorded anybody else's stuff. It's always been my stuff. And it nearly broke my heart because it was basically, look, if you don't, unspoken, if you don't do this song, which they think can be a hit song, they're really not going to work your record.
Right.
And I listened to the song, and it's like, and it's on Lucky. It's called Breathe. And
What song was it?
Breathe. It was this band called Green Wheel that Green Wheel didn't want it because it's such a hit song. They didn't want to release it. They got all, we're independent. Right. So they basically kicked them out, took the song.
Where are they now?
Exactly. Gave
Good
the song
choice.
to me. Yeah. Gave the song to me. It said, we want you to do it. I do it. It gets some radio play. It breaks my heart because it's not me. It's like I sold out. I felt I sold out.
Right.
I basically looked up to the heavens and went, okay, what do you want me to do? And the next morning I found a lump on my breast. And I went, wait a minute.
There's your next few years.
That's not what I mean.
No.
And yet it was the best thing that ever happened to me because I stopped. I canceled my tour. I stopped my life. My whole life went over me. And I unfortunately went on chemotherapy, which was horrible. But it was a dose dense because I could stay home. So it was like this nasty, horrible.
Why do you say that? Unfortunately, like in retrospect, you would have done something.
No, yeah, I'm that radical sort of health person that I believe that chemotherapy is really a bad idea. That the science behind it is we're going to kill every living cell.
Okay, but it saved your life, right?
No. Me changing my health habits saved my life because there's plenty of people who do chemotherapy and die. Plenty.
From chemotherapy.
A lot of times, yes. Yes. Now, and I mean, it's a radical point of view, and a lot of people don't want to hear it, and they think it's like you're blaming the person with cancer. I say people have a responsibility for their health. If they're going to eat sugar, which is pure acid in your stomach, if you're going to treat your body badly, it's going to break down eventually. I mean, there's the degenerative diseases are that they're heart disease, cancer. These are things because we're killing ourselves with stress and food. I made that change. I'm living. Chemotherapy is an acid they throw in you, hopefully crossing their fingers that if there's any cancer left in you, it will kill you. They don't know that it does that. So I think in 10, 20 years, they're going to look back and go, oops, sorry about the chemotherapy. But I'm a radical on that.
But you had everything removed, though. Right?
Yeah, I had the cancer taken out. The surgery's great. We are great. The medical industry is great at getting cancer out. Awesome.
Right.
It's the choices later so that maybe if it doesn't come back and it all turns into numbers, they've broken it down to like a sance of numbers. I walked away from that.
But so you changed your life, but spiritually?
Spiritually, absolutely, big part of it.
Like what did you do? What was the first application of spirituality? Chemo, you said no chemo. I'm going to change.
Well, I stopped my chemo. I took 5 chemo and then I stopped it because I said this. And I called. I said, what percentage will this give me if I continue killing myself this way? And I was in danger of having neuropathy, which is where you lose feeling in your hands. I'm like, this is my life. I can't lose feeling in my hand. Forget it.
Right.
And at the same time, I was alone. It hurt to hear things when I was on chemo or see things. So I would be alone in a darkened room for days and days and days and days and days and days. Just my thoughts. And basically, it was like the biggest meditation ever. My thoughts stopped. I went through my life 2 or 3 times, and it just the tape rolled off the reel, and then I realized, wait a minute, what's this? This is spirit.
Yeah.
This is the higher part of me.
Right.
That noise of my life
Right.
gets in between.
Right.
And I was able to access it. I imagine that's what, when the yogis climb up on top of the mountain and you go away, when people used to remove themselves, that's what they would eventually find that's possible in our human self, that this paradigm that we're in, the busy work,
Right.
left brain world that
Sure.
we're in, doesn't let us see that spiritual side.
The avoidance.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you saw the spirit side.
Yeah.
And
it was very clear to me.
And you stay in touch with that.
Yes, it's further away now, of course, because my busy left brain life has taken over, and I'm back into the world, doing all
Desire,
this.
guitar,
All those
money.
things, money, cars,
Yeah.
kids, all that stuff that you question, but that are the things that,
No sugar, though.
low sugar. You know
Okay.
what? I've taken a 7, because I also realize that the absence of all this is not the answer either.
No.
That we are made to run with that contrast. And I do what is called a 70-30. Everything. I look at my plate, and if it's 70%, whole foods, whole grains, vegetable, the fruits, blah, 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 okay, then I can have 30% of whatever it is.
Ice cream.
Well, ice cream's a big. I actually don't. I backed
All right.
away from ice cream, but my sugar is probably a much healthier sugar. I'm just in better shape than I've ever had.
You just
And
deal with whole sugars, made fruit sugars, no
Yeah.
processed sugars.
Yeah,
but,
no
you don't
processed,
deny yourself everything.
There you go.
Right.
Exactly.
Balance.
Balance.
Right. And so what was the record that came out of the cancer?
Oh, well, that was when I was the awakening,
Right.
And that was a very spiritual. I actually called my record company and said, "Don't even talk to me. I'm going to turn you.
Right.
I'm going to give you a record. If you want to sell it, fine. If you don't, that's fine too. It really doesn't matter anymore,
Right.
because my music is about me." And I made the awakening, which is a part of I wanted to explain through my music how I sort of came into this spiritual.
How was
part.
that received?
It was received. It was the first critically well-received album that I'd ever made.
Oh.
It was, yeah.
See what you have to go through?
I know. It was like on the top 20 Rolling Stone. It was the first. Of course, it barely sold anything because
Right.
it wasn't really where people understood me at. And then the next one was Fearless Love. I was like, okay, I'm going to take the spirituality and I'm going to put it kind of back into
Your pants.
into body.
Yeah.
And then, so I'm like, okay, I'm getting my muscle back. People know me now. I've been on the Grammys,
Yeah.
bald, and that
That was insane. That was like one of those kind of like holy shit moments.
I'm realizing, for me,
Yeah.
it was just a little personal experience of, okay, I'm not going to let this cancer get me down. I'm going to, get back up and ride that horse again. And it went out into the world like a shot.
But that song, come on.
I know the opportunity. That's what happened is I got the call and went, well, I don't want anyone else to sing that song. I need to sing. I have the opportunity to sing that song that I've sung since 1968 when she did it.
Yeah.
I have the opportunity to sing that song
Piece
in
of
front
My
of the
Heart?
world. Yeah, Piece of My Heart.
That song is just
It's
nothing.
the quintessential rock and roll lady song.
Yeah, it's the best. I don't know where she came from.
Oh, man.
You know, when you really look back at those people and you realize how short they burned
Yeah.
and where some of them were coming from, it's like, how the fuck did that happen?
Yeah, well, that's why when I looked at that, when I looked at all the ones I loved and they all died, I went, wait a minute. I have to make another choice here because I don't want to die. I want to be famous and I want to do a good job here, but I don't want to die.
It is not every day that we get to hear a cancer survivor openly question the efficacy of chemotherapy. Sure, it is easy to write off when it was coming from someone who has not personally had the experience, but it's harder to ignore when it is someone who has truly found out for themselves. Melissa's non-traditional and somewhat radical, at least in regards to our cultural norms, perspective on healing and awakening is very similar to what I have experienced in healing from chronic pain. Sure, it might be radical, but the alternative is ridiculous. Given the contents of this talk, I can't help but touch on diet. It has been helpful to remember that as biologist Robert Sapolsky once remarked, zebras don't get ulcers. I would further add that an animal in its natural environment, under natural circumstances, eating its natural diet, doesn't get chronic pain or migraines, it doesn't get cancer, it doesn't get diabetes or become obese, it doesn't get allergies, just to name a few. Here's some how to say FU politely nutritional advice. Eat real food that hasn't been fucked with. It doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. And if that is too much to consider at this point in time, don't worry about it. Your diet pales in comparison to the importance of healing emotionally and learning to be true to yourself. It is obvious that many people become obsessed with diet as a new form of distraction and tribalism. I can personally attest that staring at food labels is an excellent way to avoid your emotions. But if your pain is in fact mind-body related, and the vast majority is, experience has shown that healthy eating won't even put a dent in it. If you found this to be meaningful, please like, share, and subscribe to support and encourage future creations of this kind. Namaste.